You know, there are a lot of difficult things about live streaming. Entertaining yourself and still appearing entertaining, even when nobody is watching. What just happened? What just happened to you all? The daily grind that's required to live stream enough to really build up a successful stream that people tune into day in and day out. The stress and the insecurity and just the weight that carries that with live streaming and being successful at it, the only real way you're regularly making money or growing is by being live. Obviously, there's a lot you can do in the background, but for direct work, you have to be live for your work to be out there if you're only on Twitch or a live streaming service. Those things are hard. Grinding multiple times a week, multiple hours a day when you do that is very difficult. What isn't difficult is audio quality. And we're going to nail some myths about audio quality, some ways that you can improve your audio quality for your live streams. And we're doing it while I'm on a temporary setup that probably doesn't sound that great, but is still far more passable than most people's audio setups. And we're going to talk about why. So while most of the online content creation scene typically focuses on image quality, video quality, getting the best possible camera, the best possible lenses, how to remove your green screens and things like that, the very first thing that a viewer is going to notice if they are actually trying to pay attention to a person-oriented live stream is your audio quality, your relationship with your microphone, and that overall relationship with your viewer's ears. If it sucks, your viewer will not watch. Doesn't matter how great your camera looks, if they can't understand you or the audio quality is just uncomfortable to listen to, your viewer's gone. Period.
Hey guys, today we're live streaming some fork knife, and make sure you subscribe, give me them bits please, I need all the Twitch monies please, I am the best streamer ever.
So we're going to talk about roughly 5 things you can do to improve your audio quality without spending any money, assuming you have a semi-functional microphone. First and foremost, if you have a condenser microphone or a microphone that doesn't have one built in, like this one technically does, or you are otherwise not, unless your microphone is not going to be right on top of your mouth, which in most cases it should be, get yourself a pop filter. You can get nice little ones catered to your microphone so they're not the giant fly swatters because those are crap. You can get, ones custom fitted to your microphone, but you need to have an actual pop filter if you're going to be putting your plosives into the microphone. What these things do is they are basically a little filter that diffuses the air that you basically spit out whenever you're hitting P's, T's, and B's whenever you type it. They're called plosives. So I'm going to show you an example now because even the built-in pop filter isn't always enough for these. These are very aggressive on viewers' ears, especially if they have earbuds in or anything like that. They are awful to listen to, and you do not want to subject your viewer to that. So you can get a pop filter. The thing is, those big fly swatter ones pretty much block your face and look really awful, and they need to be 1 to 2 inches away from your microphone, which not most people do. They usually just set them right on top of the microphone, and it doesn't do a good enough job. Now, the alternative that a lot of budget-oriented things come up with is putting a sock or a pantyhose or a windscreen on top of your microphone because those are cheap or free. Those aren't actually pop filters. Those would act as windscreens, which are great if you have wind or your fan on or something to keep the actual air that's blowing across your mic capsule from creating this aggressive, just rumbling of your mic, but they don't actually do a great job of diffusing plosives. Can't get around that. And you can get around that by pointing your microphone at your mouth at a certain angle like this, so that when I say puh, it's not going into the microphone capsule directly. Depends on your microphone type, but that's generally the way to go. But however, the usual alternative that people go to is to take, okay, well I can't do that, so I'm gonna put my microphone way over here and just talk as loudly as possible and hope that it sounds really good. It doesn't. Now again, this is a pricier dynamic microphone that's designed to cut out background noise, but you take that Blue Yeti, you put it all the way out the end of your desk next to your monitor, in between your keyboard, which when you're typing is going to be much more louder because that's the closest source of sound to your microphone, or either next to your computer with giant loud fans. And this is what I consider to be the lazy Blue Yeti user position, which is all the way up against my monitor. That doesn't help. That makes it worse. And a big thing that we're going to talk about here is just simply understanding the physics of audio, which is not as complicated as it sounds. Sounds. Get it? So, don't clap to your viewers. So one thing people fail to understand most of the time with regards to the microphone usage is you have to project into the microphone. It took me a very long time to learn this, and I had a blue snowball for a long time, and I would talk real quiet like this, and I'd just be like, hey guys, how's it going? My name's EposVox, I have my door shut, but I still don't want my parents to hear me. I talked before in a video you may or may not have seen, I may or may not have even freaking posted at this point. It took me years of practice, not really years, but it took me a long time of practice and getting it right and, spending time talking to a microphone, listening to how I sound, the effect that it has, understanding the process of voice, project, into capsule, record, sound levels, background noise, things like that, to really start projecting when I'm in recording or streaming mode, because you need to send your voice over to your microphone in order for it to be clear. Obviously, clipping and peaking aside up to a certain point, the louder your source is and the closer it is to your microphone, as long as your audio hardware handles the signal, the higher quality it will be. Don't yell at it, don't scream at it, don't distort out your microphone, but don't sit here and talk like this. Hey guys, how's it going? Today we're doing some live stream tips. Do you know what's going on? I don't know what's going on. How's it going? Hey, can you hear me? Chat? Chat? Hello? Chat? Why don't I have any chat? Chat! All right, 2 more points about physics. The direction that your background sound is coming from. The background. It needs to be in the background, as far in the background as it can. Think of it like a picture. You have your foreground subject, the thing that's in focus. That should be your voice. That should be as close to the microphone, or lens in most cases, unless you're doing landscape photography or something, as possible. It should be as close to the microphone as possible. Everything else should be as far away from the mic as possible. Anything that produces noise that you don't want to be picked up needs to be moved. So those of you who like to have your PC sitting on your desk right next to your monitor, I don't know why, that's an absurd setup. You're killing your audio quality. I did that for a long time. You move that PC to a floor. Put your desk in between your PC and your microphone, and that does so much to help cancel out your fan noise. Also, look up how to set a fan curve on your computer so that when you're doing this stuff, it's not at 100% the full time unless it needs to be anyway. Set rugs on your floor, use carpet, have a couch, hang curtains, things that can help absorb sound reflections so that it's not just bouncing around your room. If you have a door open, close that. You're sending out audio out into your hallway that's bouncing around and coming back. If you have a window or there's other noise coming from the rest of your house or apartment or area that you're recording in, coming back into your microphone. Same thing with windows. Have airplanes and motorcycles going outside with the windows open, you can't get rid of that. You need to put the window in between there. That's what it's for. It's the whole physics thing. Now these last 2 points are with regards to combating that, assuming you've already taken all of your physics 101 into account here, or you're just stubborn and refuse to do so. Keep in mind, audio filtration, especially real-time, live, is not magic. You can't just cut this stuff out. That's not how it works. But there are 2 different ways of filtering noise in real time here that you need to consider, and most people pick the wrong one. There is a noise gate and a noise suppressor. And now in OBS, there's a downward expander, which is just a smoother noise gate. So for the purposes of this, we'll talk about them as the same thing. A noise gate is what it sounds like. It is a gate that lets some sounds through and then closes when that sound's not coming through. And so you set it up and configure it so that there's a threshold of when you're talking, it opens up and lets the sound through because you are loud enough and you are talking to it. But then when you are not making sound loud enough anymore, when you are not talking anymore, it shuts back. So even if you have a background noise floor, as long as it is not, as loud as you are, then it's going to cut back off. Now, that's not going to cut out things out of your voice. So if you have fan noise that's present when you talk, that will sort of come back. But assuming you have background music or game sound or something else happening, it's going to be a lot less noticeable to your viewer. And then if you have something real loud in the background start happening, that happens to be as loud as you, like a baby screaming or something, you just can't just get rid of that. It's going to open the gate if it's as loud as you set in the threshold. But then there's noise suppression, which aims to actually filter that stuff out of your microphone. However, this usually goes poorly. And again, this is for recurring stuff that does show up when you are actively talking, but this is what can cause that toilet bowl effect, where audio sounds like it's just really distorted and running through a toilet or a seashell or something, because it's trying to filter out only the frequencies of your voice, and it's not likely doing a good job. Personally, I don't recommend doing that. I just recommend having a bass background sound, like I said, be it a game or music, and having the gate open and shut, or use the downward expander whenever you are talking. That usually provides the best result. Also, a super quick note here, if you happen to be doing multiple steps of audio processing, such as EQ, compressor, noise gate, things like that, your noise filtration needs to go first. The thing is, if you use an EQ, that can affect the the sound frequencies of your background noise, which can further confuse noise suppression into thinking that some of those frequencies are part of your voice. And if you use a compressor, what a compressor does is it makes the quieter noise louder and the louder noises quieter and brings them to a more even level. So you are literally taking that background noise level, that noise floor, and raising it closer to your microphone sound, so you're actually making your background noise worse and making it harder to run a noise gate or noise suppressor on. So that needs to happen first, and then your compressor and EQ and whatever you do. Order of operations in a signal chain in audio processing is very important. Lastly, there's the discussion of sound foam versus sound blankets. Everyone jumps to get all these little sound foam tiles and put them everywhere, and admittedly, you can't really see them, but I have a couple in some places. They're really good at handling reflections. When you have sound that's bouncing off of something and then bouncing to another corner, sound is energy, it's something that projects. It hits a wall and it bounces to the other wall and then to the other wall. So sound foam on walls that have big open spaces and can absorb, can reflect a lot of sound reflections. That's very important. Sound foam can be much more useful in little corner scenarios. You can't really see this here, but I have a little corner nook where, my voice is going to get projected into these little corner bits and reflect back a lot more than if there wasn't anything in the corner. So I have sound foam there. Sound blankets, on the other hand, or you can hang curtains or things like that. Sound blankets help block sound. So sound foam kind of diffuses the reflections because, the foam is porous. It's like a sponge, so the sound goes into it and kind of softens out. Sound blankets outright prevent it from going any further. So you can hang this over your doorway and just roll it up when you're not streaming to help filter out sound from the rest of your house or your windows. Or you can just build. I'll have a video from my buddy, Technical DIY, who built his own sound booth out of $20 worth of PVC pipe and some moving blankets, and basically built a little fort around his streaming setup, drops the blankets down, and no sound from the rest of it, very little sound from the rest of his house enters his recording area, and then his voice isn't projecting out into the rest of his room and reverbing back. Pretty straightforward. It's a kind of nice way to go. So there you have it, 5-ish tips to improve your audio quality, because audio quality is really not that hard to master. And somewhere in here I will have laden in samples from headset mics and cheaper microphones and things like that, because they can all sound good. You just have to know how to use them. I'm EposVox, here to make tech easier and more fun, but speaking more difficult. I'm actually losing my voice, speaking of audio quality.